A very good morning to all of you. Students, this is our second semester, and in this semester we will learn about the second part of plant life and utilization. This is our first paper, botany first paper, and the topic name is plant life and utilization second. In this topic there are 5 chapters are there, and this is our first chapter, introduction about the plant life and utilization. So let us learn about the different topics. Here, introduction to plant diversity. First point is introduction of plant diversity. The biological diversity. Biological, that means the living diversity. Biological diversity is the variation of life form at all level of biological system. That means there are the different levels of biological systems are there, like molecular, organismic, population, species and ecosystem, etc. In 1992, United Nations Earth Summit defined biological diversity as the variability among living organisms from all sources, including inter alia, terrestrial, marine and other aquatic ecosystem, and the ecological complexes of which they are part. This include the diversity within species or between species and of ecosystem. This definition is used in the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. The textbook definition is as variation of life of all the level of biological organization. Genetically biodiversity can be defined as the diversity of alleles, genes and organisms, and the study of processes such as mutation and gene transfer that drive the evolution. In this way, in a simple word, the plant diversity, it is nothing but the variation of life form. There are the variation in the life form, and that variation in the life form, that is called as the plant diversity. Next point is the diversity in pteridophyte. We know that the pteridophyte, they are regarded as vascular cryptogams, as they have well developed conducting system, that is plant with xylem and phloem, whose dispersal relies on spore, not on the seed. The pteridophyte, that is a large group of ancient or primitive land plant with worldwide distribution. All continents except the Antarctica and most islands. Without that, worldwide this pteridophyte is available. Plant shows diversity in their morphological as well as anatomical character, but have uniform life cycle pattern. This group is represented by 10,000 to 12,000 species in the world. Based on the origin, the development of sporangia can be grouped into two main parts. These are eusporangiate type, and second one is the leptosporangiate type. Here, eusporangiate type, the sporangia are developed from a group of cell. Okay, sporangia are developed from a group of cell. And in second type, leptosporangiate type, the sporangia are developed from a single superficial superficial sporangial initial, that means the single cell. In eusporangiate form, the sporangia is large and massive. The wall is several cell, number of cell are there in thickness, and the spore content is high. And in leptosporangiate form, the sporangia is small because it is made up from only one cell, and the spore wall is one cell in thick and the spore content is very low. Of these two types, this used sporangiate is primitive and leptosporangiate, that is the advanced one. Okay, this is about the diversity in pteridophyte. Next, sporophyte. The main plant body, it is the sporophytic plant body. What is meant by sporophytic plant body? The plant body which produces the spore. Okay, that is known as the sporophytic. Spore and phytic means the plant. Plant produces the spore, that is known as the sporophytic plant body. It is a major and dominant diploid phase in the life cycle of the pteridophyte. Main plant body is sporophytic. The sporophyte is organized into the root, stem and leaves, and initially it shows the differentiation in vascular system or vascular element. All the living pteridophyte, they are nearly herbaceous except a few woody tree. For example, fir. Example, Scythia. Okay, and the plant grow well in the damp, cool, shady places. Some members are the xerophytic and some are the hydrophytic also. The stem may be dichotomously or laterally branched, and which bear the microphyllous or megaphyllous leaves. Micro, small, phylous means the leaves, that are the smaller leaves, and mega means large, phylous means leaf again, and megaphyllous leaves. In fern stem, that is reduced, and they are known as the caudex. The stem of sporophyte, that is known as the caudex. Here it is also known as the vertical rhizome. Rises conspicuously into the air, or it appears as a rhizome running along with the surface of earth, or it is an underground structure. It is grown in the surface of ground, or it is the underground portion, and the stem contains the vascular bundle consisting of woody, dotted, annular and closed spiral, and a scalariform trachea are also present in them. The vascular bundle, they are arranged in a peculiar manner. In this way, this is the structure of the sporophyte. They are having also root, and root is the adventitious roots are present there. Xylem and phloem, they are also present there. Secondary, but the secondary growth is absent in the majority of living pteridophyte except the Isoetes. Further, this sporophyte is again divided into two types, microphyllous and macrophyllous. In macrophyllous sporophyte, leaves are small, sessile and membranous. For example, Selaginella, Equisetum, etc. And in macrophyllous, leaves are large in size with long petiole and enlarged lamina, and they are pinnately compound. Okay. Here in microphyllous, they are sessile and membranous and small, and in macrophyllous, they are pinnately compound and larger leaves. In fern, the leaves are called as the frond, produced at the summit of the stem, and they form a very graceful crown or chroma. In the young state, they are rolled up in a succinate manner. The leaves are rolled leaf when they are younger, and further they are spread out. Okay, the frond bear the fructification on them. We can note diversity in the venation of the leaflet also, and the venation of fern supplies important character in the classification of the sporophyte. Further, gametophyte. What is meant by gametophyte? Gametophyte, that means the phyte means the plant and gameto means gamete. Plant produces the gamete. These two types, they are of the pteridophyte, sporophytic plant and gametophytic plant. This gametophytic plant produces the gamete. The sporophytic plant they produces the haploid spore, whereas the gametophytic plant they produces the sexual spore. Okay, they are the male and female gametes are there. This sporophytic plant produces the spore, and this spore germinate and form the haploid gametophytic plant. Okay, that means sporophytic plant produces the spore. That spore germinate. After germination, they are produces the gametophytic plant body. That gametophytic plant is also known as the prothallus. Okay, and the homosporous pteridophyte generally have the monoecious prothallus. That means all the cells morphologically they are same, monoecious prothallus. That is the prothalli bears the both antheridia and archegonia also. That means in one prothallus the antheridia and archegonia is present. That is known as the monoecious prothallus. For example, Xylotum, Equisetum. In heterosporous form, the male and female prothalli they are in separate thallus. Okay, they are known as the heterosporous. Monoecious male female structure is on same thallus, and in heterosporous male female structure is on different or separate thallus structure. For example, Selaginella, Marsillia, Pteris, etc. The prothalli in homosporous form they are green, simple or branched, aerial, or they may be the subterranean, colorless and tuberless. Okay. In this way, gametophyte of homosporous pteridophyte they are the exosporic, while those of heterosporous pteridophyte they are the endosporic. That means the gametophyte initiate within the spore. Endosporic, that means gametophyte initiates within the spore. In this way, this is about the gametophyte of pteridophytic plant. Further, in pteridophyte reproduction, the pteridophytic plant reproduced by the sexual as well as the vegetative method. We can note two distinct phases in the life cycle of pteridophyte, that is main plant representing diploid sporophytic phase and short-lived, it is reduced, and haploid gametophytic phase. This is about the reproduction. This reproduction is again divided into two types, vegetative and sexual reproduction. In vegetative reproduction, the sporophytic plant reproduces vegetatively by the various means. A number of species produced vegetative birds here. Okay, the bird, or it is the bulbous. That means vegetative reproduction takes by bird or bulbous, and that are capable for producing the roots and new plant. These bulbous are leaf derived structure and are produced in the leaf axis or at the various places on the leaf or on the leaf surface. Plant may produce the sessile bulbous, they are having the stalk or not. If they does not having the stalk, it is known as the that plant may produce the successive bulbous which develop the root, establish themselves and produce the frond and bulbous of their own proliferating bulbous. They can be found in the different plants like Asplenium, Camposaurus, Diplosium, Polystichium, Hooperisia, and the number of other genera. Second one is the sexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction can be takes place by producing the sex organ. It is characteristic of the gametophytic plant, and sexual organ they are produced on prothallus. Organs are produced on the prothallus, that is nothing but the gametophyte superficially or remains embedded in the gametophytic tissue. Sex organ they are multicellular, develop on one and same thallus, that is known as the monoecious, and or two different thallus they are known as the dioecious or heterothallus structure. The sexual organs, they are the microscopic or nearly so. The male organs, they are known as the antheridia, produce and shed numerous motile multiflagellated sperms, or they are known as the anthrazoids. That multiflagellated sperm, they are known as the anthrazoids. Okay, they are produces in the antheridia. These anthrazoids, they are armed with hair-like or whip-like cilia or flagella and are able to swim through free water is available. Only a continuous film of water is needed for the moving that anthrazoid from one place to the another place. The anthrazoid, they are chemically attracted toward the developing flask-like female organ that is known as the archegonia. When fertilization of the single egg cell embedded in each archegonia takes place, one or on a given prothallus, in some species, the antheridia sometimes mature before the archegonia to reduce the risk of self-fertilization. In this way, in short, this sexual reproduction, it is by producing the sex organ. Male sex organ is known as the antheridia and female sex organ is the archegonia. And for the fertilization, water is necessary here, because the antheridia produces the anthrazoids and that anthrazoids are swims toward the archegonia with the help of water only. Okay? In this way, this is about the sexual reproduction. Next is phanerogams. Phanerogams, this is another whole group of the plant kingdom. Phanerogam, that means the flowering plants. Okay, till the pteridophyte or till the pteridophyte, they are the cryptogamic plant that does not produces the flower, and phanerogam, the plant which produces the flower. This is the another second group of plant kingdom. Let us see the different character of the phanerogam. First one is the plant are well adapted to the land habit and they are herb, shrub or tree. These three forms are present in the phanerogamic plant. They may be the herb, shrub or tree. Second one, these are the seed bearing vascular plant. They are having the seed and they are the vascular plants, so called as the spermatophytes. Sperma means seed, phyte means plants. This vascular plant is also known as the spermatophyte. That means the plant produces the seed. Next one is the seed are naked or enclosed inside the fruit. Both the structure is there. In some plant the seeds are naked, in some plant they are closed in the fruit. Next one is the plant body, that is sporophytic, which produce spores within the special organs such as the microsporangia, that is known as the pollen sac. Microsporangia, pollen sac, and megasporangia, that is the ovule. Pollen sac and ovule. Okay, microsporangia and megasporangia. Next one is the gametophyte, that is very much reduced and complete its life on the sporophyte. Okay, gametophyte, it is a very reduced structure. Next one, plants, they are heterosporous. Pollen or microspore, they are produced in the microsporangia, while megaspore, they are produced inside the megasporangia. Okay, so they are the heterosporous. Next one is the sexual reproduction. That sexual reproduction is the siphonogamous type. Zygote, after fertilization the zygote is developed and that zygote is developed into a embryo, and embryo is the protected inside the seed. This is another character. Next one is the seed after germination develop into the sporophytic plant. Okay, seed develop and they produces the sporophytic plant, and plant possesses well developed vascular tissue system. Okay, in pteridophyte the initiation of the vascular tissue system is there, but here the more advanced vascular tissue system is present in the gymnosperm as well as in the angiosperm. Okay. These are some character. Next one is the gymnosperms. Further, phanerogam, they are divided into again two groups, gymnosperm and angiosperm. Let us see one by one, in which first one is the gymnosperm. Gymnospermic plant, they are mostly trees. There are about the 500 species of conifers, 100 species of cycadales and 71 species of nettles are there. That means gymnospermic plant, they are again divided into three groups: conifers, cycadales and nettles. 500 species are present in conifers, 100 species in cycadales and 71 species in the nettles. Ginkgo biloba, that is called as the living fossil in the gymnosperm. It is a endemic to China. Okay, and conifer occurs worldwide, but predominantly in the temperate or temperature and alpine region of the tropic. The nettle consists of three living genera: Netum, Ephedra and Welwitschia. The common example of gymnospermic plant, they are known as the Cycas, Jamia, Pinus, Thuja, Netum, Ephedra, Ginkgo. These are some examples of gymnospermic plant. Let us see the gymnospermic plant again, or the first step of gymnospermic plant, that is the sporophytic diversity. Let us see the sporophytic diversity of gymnospermic plant. In the life cycle of the gymnosperm, sporophyte is the dominant phase. The gymnosperm, they are the woody, perennial, shrub or trees. Here the herbaceous habit is present in the gymnosperm, or there is no herbaceous habit is present in the gymnosperm. Majority of them, they are the evergreen trees. They replace their leaves continuously with a few at a time. Okay, that means the gymnospermic plant, they are sporophyte, or the sporophytic plant of gymnosperm, they are mostly trees. No herbaceous plant are there. Again, in the sporophytic plant, the root system. There are two kind of root system is there. In cycadales, for example Cycas, the normal tap root and corolloid root is there in Cycas plant. Okay. First one is the normal tap root system. The main tap root is generally thick and short, but its lateral branches, they are long and thin. Function of root is anchorage and absorb of water and mineral nutrient like the other plant. This is the normal tap root system. Second one is the corolloid root. They are negatively geotropic and grow on the surface of the soil. Okay, they are negatively geotropic. Mostly roots are present in the soil and they grow in the soil. Okay, in downward direction. They are the positively geotropic, and the root which is grown above the soil in the opposite direction, it is known as the negatively geotropic roots. Here they show the repeated dichotomously branching and appear as the corolline masses. Okay, compact structure, and internally they show the algal zone of blue-green algae like the Anabaena, and these algae are helpful in the nitrogen fixation. Corolloid root possesses the lenticel which is helpful for the respiration. In this way, the two type of roots are there, mostly in the cycadales. Okay, for example Cycas. Next one is the stem. The stem, that is the mostly this plant are tree, so the Stem is columnar, unbranched, thick, and shows the growing and long-lived. Stem is covered with the armor of thick persistent leaf bases. Okay, see the structure of cycas plant or the stem of cycas, they have the armor of thick persistent leaf bases is there, and they are somewhat thorny like structure, but they are the leaf bases. In some species of cycas and zamia, in some species stem is tuberous, spherical, subterranean and irregular branched. Okay, in this way, in some cases in conifers stem is erect, tall and slow growing, and the lateral branches, they are having the lateral branches, and that lateral branches, they are of two types. First one is the long shoot, second one is the dwarf shoot or spur shoot is there. Long shoot, they grow rapidly on the, first one is the long shoot, and they grow rapidly on the main stem and may again bear long and dwarf shoot. Okay, they may bears the long and dwarf shoot, and they bear deeply lobed foliage leaves. Second one is the dwarf shoot. They develop in axis or axile of foliage leaves. Okay, at the topmost part of the axile part of the foliage leaves, and form a small crown of foliage leaves each year. The leaves present on the dwarf shoot are not lobed, but they are entire. The long shoot and the dwarf shoot, they are the interconvertible and reproductive organs. They are born only on dwarf shoot. The cycas plant, they are in our garden. Please, when you come into the college, see in the garden that at the front of the entry, that small cycas plant is there. It is of 2 to 3 year old, and at the middlemost part of that plant, the dwarf shoot, they are produces, and that shoot look like a crown like structure. Okay, that is the dwarf shoot, or it is also known as the spur shoot. Next one is the leaf morphology. Here, branches of unlimited growth. They are again divided, branches of unlimited growth, and second one is the branches of limited growth. In which first one, branches of unlimited growth, they grow indefinitely and arise at regular interval as a lateral bud on the thick trunk. They spread horizontally and gives the pyramidal shape. Okay, it looks like a pyramid. These are the branch of unlimited growth. Second one is the branch of limited growth. These are also called as the dwarf shoot. Okay, branch of limited growth, they are known as the dwarf shoot or spur. They have no apical bud, therefore their growth is restricted. Each spur shoot of the pinus bears the 1 to 5 needles on them. These needles, they are wrapped by the thin membranous scales. In pinus, there are two type of leaves are there. They are foliage leaves, and second one is the scaly leaves or scale leaves. In foliage leaves, they are green, acicular and needle like, and they have the borne on the dwarf shoot. Okay, and they are persistent and fall only along with the spur. They are the foliage leaves. They are evergreen. Second one is the scaly leaves. They are brown, somewhat brown color, and membranous and present both branches of limited and unlimited growth. And they are the only ones born on the shoot of unlimited growth. They are not participating in photosynthesis because they are brown in color, and they serve to retain the water around the branches. Only to store or serves or retain the water around the branches. The main function of that scaly leaves. Okay. In this way, this is about the leaves. Next one is the reproduction in gymnosperm. Mostly there are the three classes, and in cycadales there are two types of reproduction are occurred, namely vegetative and asexual. Vegetative reproduction, it takes place by adventitious bud, or bulbils and which are developed all over the stem from base to the apex on old plant. Okay, that means vegetative reproduction takes place by the bud or bulbils. Sexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction takes place by the formation of male cone or microsporangiate, or it is also known as the strobilus, and female cone, that is called as the megasporangium or female strobilus. They are variation in the length of male cone in the cycadales. The male cone of cycas do not reach the great length of zamia and the microzamia. In cycas, or the species of cycas, that is the Cycas revoluta and Cycas circinalis, there are about the 40 centimeter and 60 centimeter in the length, and the male cone of the macrozamia denisoniae is about the 80 centimeter sometimes. That is the length of the cone in Cycas and macrozamia. Okay. In this way, the smallest cone are occurred in the Zamia pycnimia and measure only 2 centimeter in length. Okay, largest is 80 centimeter and smallest is 2 centimeter. Okay, in this way, this is about the sexual reproduction. Next, that is the angiosperm. It is the largest group throughout the plant kingdom. The term angiosperm has been derived from the true Greek word. Angion means the vessels and sperma means seeds. The angiosperm are thus the plant with seeds enclosed in the fruit. The angiosperm constitute an extreme diverse group of the vascular plant, and there are about the 2 to 3 lakh species of this group is there. Another 5 lakh species, they are the estimated to be present on the planet Earth awaiting discovery. They are not discovered now, but all about 3 lakh to 3 lakh 500 species they are noted till today, but it is guessed that there are about the 5 lakh species are there throughout the world. Angiosperm, that is the most recent group of plant to evolve in the geological history and having made their probable first appearance in 35 million years ago. Okay, there are the number of plants are present in the angiospermic plant, and a huge number of species are there in angiosperm. Let us see the diversity in habit. It is the most diverse group throughout the plant kingdom. Habit is an appearance of the plant or how it grows, that is known as the habit, and it growing place. Angiosperm shows the following type of habit, in which first one is the herb. It is typing mistake. It is not habit, it is the herb. First one is the herb. It is a plant with weak, soft and green stem whose aerial portion is relatively short-lived. Most of the grasses are included in the herb. Second one is the shrub. It is perennial woody plant with small height, and it has many stems arising from the ground level. From the ground level, the number of branches are grown there. That is known as the shrub, and the height is near about the 1 to 2 meters. Next one, the trees. It is perennial woody plant. Okay, wood formation is there in the stem. Woody plant with small woody plant with the single large trunk. Only one trunk is there, and its height is more than the shrub. Okay, for example, mango, neem trees, they are included in the trees. Next one, the climbers. They climb and take support, and it grows. This plant possesses long stem with diffuse branches and special organ of attachment like the tendril, like in grapes, hooks, etc., by which it climbs on the neighboring object. For example, cucumber, grapes, etc. Money plant, it is another example of the climber. Next one is the twinner. It is a plant with branch stem with itself twin around the support and climb, etc. For example, Clitoria, Gokern, Cordifolia. These are the example of the twinners. Creepers. This plant has weak stem, thus run along with the soil surface. Creeper, they run along with the soil. Most of the grasses, they are the creeper also. Okay, but do not have the root at the nodal region. For example, it is the Rangoon creepers. These are the example of the grass. Okay. Next one is the runner. Creeper and runner. They are grown around the soil surface. The plant, they are which special organs such as the stolon or offset and suckers, which produces the new plant at specific interval at a nodal part. For example, oxalis, chrysanthemum. These are the runners. Next one is the lianas. It is long, woody, perennial. Twinners. They are twinners, but they are the long and woody and perennial. For example, entada. These are the example, and it is also called as the woody climber. Next one is epiphyte, the plant which grow on the other plant but do not absorb the food from them. They produces their own food material, but they are grown on the another plant. They are known as the epiphytic plant. This is about the diversity of habit. Next one is the habitat diversity. Habitat, it is the place. Okay, habit, that means the appearance, and habitat, that means the place where a particular plant can grow. Okay, the habitat diversity in angiosperm is determined by the various environmental factors such as water, soil and temperature. In which first one is the hydrophyte. Hydro means water, phyte means plant. The plant, they are grown in the water, they are known as the hydrophytic plant. These are the plant growing in the water or soil saturated with water or waterlogged soil. Hydrophyte shows the morphological and anatomical adaptations. For example, Hydrilla, Nymphia, they are the examples of hydrophyte. They again divided into 5 types. First one is the free floating. They float freely on the surface of water. Okay, they does not rotate in the soil of the water body, but they are freely floating on the surface of water. Lemna, Eichhornia, they are in our Saikheda Godavari. Okay, there are most of the river is covered with the Eichhornia, and in some amount lemna is also present in the surface of the soil. Both are the free floating. Next one is the submerged floating. This plant, they are completely submerged. They are into water body. Okay, they are totally present inside the water surface, submerged. The plant, they are completely submerged under the water and not rooted in the mud. They are free floating but submerged. For example, Najas. These plant, they are the present in the surface of water, but they are not rooted. Third one is rooted with floating leaves. Okay, lotus is the example. Rooted but with floating leaves. Root of the plant, they are fixed in the mud, but they are floating on the surface of water. Okay, lotus is the example of this. Rooted and submerged. Okay, this plant, they are remain completely submerged in the water surface and are with roots. They are rooted in the mud. Okay, hence rooted and submerged. Okay, Vallisneria, that is the example. Cryptophyllum or Ceratophyllum, that is the example of rooted submerged hydrophyte. Next one is the rooted and emergent. Okay, these plants are growing in the soil saturated with water and with root system, but they are rooted but emergent. Okay, for example, cypress. that are the example of the rooted emergent hydrophyte. Okay, this is the first group, hydrophyte. Second one is the mesophyte. These plants are grown in the soil with optimum condition of water. That means terrestrial plant. They are the mesophytic plant. For example, maize, sunflower, mango, etc. Next one is the xerophytic plant. Xeric condition. That means the scarcity of water is present into the soil. Such type of the plant are known as the xerophytic plant. The plant are growing in the soil with the scarcity of water, and these are of following subtypes: ephemeral and non-succulent. Ephemeral, these plant are the complete their life cycle within a short period of to except from the drought condition, short period crop, and these are also called as the drought evadas plant. For example, Argemone mexicana and Borevia erecta. These are the example of ephemerals. Second one is a non-succulent. These plants are drought resistant and hence may referred as a true xerophytic plant. Nerium, okay, acacia, different species of acacia, casuarina. These are the example of non-succulent xerophytic plant. Next one is the halophytic plant. These are the plant growing in the soil enriched with the large or concentration of salt like the NaCl, MgSO4, etc. That means the plant grows in the salty soil, that is known as the halophytic plant. For example, Rhizophora or Avicennia. These are the examples of the halophytic plant. Next one is the diversity on the basis of nutrition. Okay, on the basis of mode of nutrition, angiospermic plant, they are beard or they has been grouped into the four main types. First one is the autotrophic, parasitic, insectivorous and saprophytic angiosperm. In which first one is the autotrophic. They produces their own food material by the process of photosynthesis. They are known as the autotrophic. All the plant they are autotrophic, or most of the 80 to 90% plant they are the autotrophic plant. Second is the parasitic plant. Parasitic angiosperm obtain their nourishment from other living plant, that is the host, by means of the special sucking root termed as the haustoria. With the help of that haustoria, they absorb their food material from other living plant. So they are the parasitic plant. The haustoria help in the penetration of the tissue of parasite in the host to make the firm connection with the host vascular tissue, and this connection help to obtain the ready-made food from the phloem of that host plant. Okay, they does not produce their own food material, but they take food from another plant. They are known as the parasitic plant. Here again they are divided into two types: total root parasite, total stem parasite. Here root parasite, some angiosperm they are completely depend on the root of the host plant for supply of water, food and other mineral salt. These plants are called as the total root parasite. For example, Striga, Rafflesia, Balanospora. These are the examples of the total root parasite. In some total root parasite, the flowers remains above the surface of the soil while the vegetative part is underground and parasite the root of the host. Second one is the total stem parasite. The total stem parasite like the chlorophyll and do not have connection with the soil after seedling stage. Okay, so that they are totally depend on the host for supply of water and mineral salt and organic food material. For example, Cuscuta, they are total stem parasite. Okay, they does not, that total stem parasite that does not having the chlorophyll. They totally depend for food on the another organism or another plant. Next one, the insectivorous plant. Insect that means insect. Horus means eater. Some plant, they eat the insect, and such type of plant is known as the insectivorous plant. This plant possesses chlorophyll and therefore capable for manufacture of carbohydrate, but this plant cannot synthesize enough protein as they grow in the swampy soil, which is deficient in the nitrogen. However, they can overcome this deficiency by catching smaller insect and digesting them. Okay, they get their mineral or proteins from these insect. They kill that insect and digest them, and by the digesting they get their protein from that insect. To fulfill this purpose, their leaves are modified variously. Modification are there for trapping of the insect. They are the insectivorous plant. Then last one is the sporophytic angiosperm. This is the last part of our topic, saprophytic angiosperm. Saprophytic, some organism which lack chlorophyll, that is not having chlorophyll. They grow on the soil rich in humus or dead organic matter in the forest. These plants obtain their nutrition from the humus or dead decaying organic matter through mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza is nothing but the roots. Okay, and it is the fungal association, and with the help of that plant absorb the nutrient or food from dead and decaying matter. Such type of plant, such type of angiosperm is known as the saprophytic plant. They absorb their food from the dead and decaying matter, that is known as the saprophytic angiosperm. In this way, these are the different types of the angiosperm, and in this way, this is our first chapter, introduction of plant life and utilization, part 2, and I hope you are understand about this. In this way, in our next lecture we are learn about the first or second topic, that is the pteridophyte. Thank you very much.